Hello friends, welcome back to Shreyalogue. Today we are going to be talking about a very important emotion, an emotion which has touched all of us in some form or the other. It's grief. Grief, for me, grief always comes in waves. Recently I lost someone who was very dear to me. Grief again came in a complete different form in front of me. It stood right in front of me, and most of the times we don't even realize that it's sitting right there. Dealing with it is something which is never easy. Not easy for anyone, no matter how old are you or no matter how young you are. It is an emotion that, for me, surpasses all the boundaries that I have created in my life or someone else has created in their lives, because we don't have any control over. So today during this interview I am going to be asking Akshatha about the kind of griefs that we go through and what to do when that grief becomes completely unsettling in our lives. I really hope that the kind of exercises or the kind of tips that Akshatha shares with us today, I really hope that helps someone go past it. It will not, reduce the pain, I'm sure, but at least it will make that pain bearable or manageable. So friends, welcome back to Shreyalogue. With the death of a famous actor in Bollywood, the term depression has been used very extensively. It's okay to say that you need to take care of yourself, you need to take care of your mental health, but are there any tools to actually help us do it? Because the mind is such that it's just not in our control. So can we train the mind, can we get the mind back to the present moment to focus, and is there any tool, is there anything that we can use to do that?
Right. Yeah, there is. Luckily, my answer is that there is something that we can do. Like I said earlier, does connect back to what I said earlier about being in the present moment. And one of the most beautiful ways of doing that, training your mind to be in the here, in the now, is going back to your breath. Now, how you do that? In the beginning, you will have to set alarms, reminders to do that. So whenever I usually suggest people to do this for a big chunk of the day, let's say for about 8 to 10 hours of the day, every hour, it takes about 5 minutes to set up hourly reminders on your phone. And then every hour when the alarm goes off, whatever that you're doing, simply bring your mind to your breathing and count 6 breaths.
Okay.
6 breaths. Now you could count up to 10 breaths, but I wouldn't suggest that you go more than 10. You could go till 10, but not more than 10. For the only reason is that your mind tends to wander pretty quickly. Before your mind begins wandering, I want you to stop. And that is why 6 breaths. Okay. So one inhalation and one exhalation is one breath. We could do that right now together and then tell me how you feel after that.
Okay.
You could close your eyes if you wish to, or you could keep your eyes open.
Sure. Yeah,
Open your eyes when you're done.
it actually is.
Yes.
I mean, it kind of brings you back from wherever you were.
Yes.
Because I'm focusing so
Yes.
much on in just inhaling and exhaling.
Yes.
That my mind is also shifting to the changes in my body, or the movement in my body basically. But I
Yes.
think it sticks to that.
It does. That the thing is, when your mind is on your breath, it is very hard to think of anything else. So bringing your mind back to your breathing every hour is one of the simplest ways to reboot yourself, to give that another kickstart, and the next hour becomes better because you're more fresh, you're oriented differently when you've done the breathing. I almost challenge people to please tell me if there is anything, if there could be anything simpler than this that you can do. You don't need gadgets, you don't need instruments, you don't need anything, you just need yourself. That's it. And you don't even need money to do it. If you can't give yourself a few seconds every hour in your day, I really don't know how else I can help. There are times that we must learn to help ourselves, and this is one of those. And this is one of those very, very simple ways of doing this. Now, let's say our anxieties, our worries are about this big. For some reason, humans have this thinking that if our problem is this big, our solutions need to be at least that big, if not bigger. But our solutions, the answers can be a pinprick. It doesn't take more than a pinprick for a balloon to burst. It doesn't take more than a nail to get into your car wheel and you have a punctured tire. So it is just that much that you need sometimes. So putting away all our reservations about, oh, what will this do? Oh, this is just so mundane or simple. How can this help? Putting all of that aside, I would say give it a good shot and tell me how you feel after in a few days. I had somebody telling me that practicing this for 3 days, and after the third day, she gets back to me and she says, for the last 5.5 years, I've lived in this society. This is in Bombay. And I've lived in this society, housing society. And I go for a walk every single day in the morning, even on a weekend at 5 in the morning, and then goes to work. Then she goes to work. She says, this is the first time she even heard the birds chirping in her locality. Imagine how much she's inside her head.
But Akshata, sometimes what happens is that while we talk about, coming back to present or being in present, in our past, there are so many memories of parents now when they are not here, or a loved one who was there with us but is not there anymore. And when this happens, and it usually ends up happening for a lot of people, like for my friend who actually put this question up, she lost her parents quite early. She is in her 30s. She's looking for a partner. She is very, very stable when it comes to career. But at night is when she goes back to these memories, and it makes her feel so troubled inside. These are troubling memories for her, for sure. And she's so troubled inside that for her, sometimes she wakes up just gasping for breath. It's that troubling for her. And I think it's for a lot of people. It's just that not a lot of people talk about it, So what do you think? How do we deal with something like this, something so intense like this?
Right. Okay, this is something intense. I think one of the things I would say is grief is not easy to get out of. And I would also go to that extent and say that grieving in itself is not easy. So when we grieve, it is important to have grieved fully well and let that emotion out completely. We'd have lost someone many years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But even now, when we talk about them, there are times that we may feel teary, but there are times when we may feel upset. I would suggest that this kind of a pain that people carry, it's very traumatic to go through it every single day, every night, to have these memories come up to the surface and not be able to sleep well. I would suggest that someone like that works with someone, a professional, who can help them get rid of the grief and only have beautiful memories of that person, the bond that they shared, and the things that they did together, the things that they laughed about. It's a little bit of work. I'd say a little bit of subconscious work. Subconscious mind needs to work around these things. And then when you think of that person, you behave differently. You're not teary anymore. You're okay. You can come to terms with it. you can come to a certain peaceful state that you can accept it in a more easier manner. And that acceptance is going to help you sleep better, is going to help you think of them in a better light. And is if you have any spiritual practices and if you have a spiritual bent of mind, then there are other arguments or there are other explanations that can go as further as just the body that goes away and that we keep meeting people again and again, the same people in different lifetimes and in different capacities and relationships. That's a different school of thought. But I think to begin with, healing that part of you that has been traumatized, and that I would say must be done professionally, and that would be much more effective than doing it yourself.
So, Akshata, if something
Yeah,
like this happens at night and
yeah.
you don't have anybody around you, can we do something?
Hmm.
Is there any practice or any tool or anything that a person can do to at least for that particular time to get out of it, or at
Mm-hmm.
least to be assured that it's not that bad, things will be easier, things will be better, just for that particular moment.
Right. One thing that the person can do is whenever this happened, whatever age at which that happened, is to mentally picture the person, that version of you, to mentally picture that version of you and to speak, so to say, to communicate, to speak to that person, that version of you, and say that I'm here, I'm a future self, I'm here, and things will get better. Slowly with time, things do get better. Sometimes there is also a thought that people say, time does not heal, it just fades away, the thoughts, the memories. So, well, there are two different ways of looking at it. But that's one thing to do. Another thing to do, I think, is to also pick up a glass of water, hold it in your hand, and say some beautiful things about those people that have passed away, things that those memories that they've made together. Think of them and keep sipping that water in small sips, thinking of all those good times. Doing that helps you because water is something goes into your system and replenishes your entire system. And you're doing that with, and it is a study. There's a man who spent all his life studying the nature of water and how it changes. So he has made these experiments, done these experiments where uh, water, when it goes under the microscope, shows different characteristics in its molecular structure. When you have said something nice, or you've blessed the water, or you've thought positive, and they look like beautiful snowflakes. And then if you've said something upsetting, if you're sad, you're angry, and then you have that water and you've said that, and then putting that under the microscope shows so much chaos there. So it is really true that the food that we eat and the water that we drink, anything that we put in our body that nourishes us, must go with good thoughts and good feelings. And waking up in the night, and if this happens, it's a good thing to pick up a glass of water and think of them in a happy way, and slowly keep sipping that water and then go to sleep. If it helps, the person can also use any kind of white noises to fall asleep. I think it is very important to have a little sleep ritual where you fix a time to go to bed. You know that you're going to bed at whatever time, 11, 11:30, whatever time is good. Preferably not any later than that. And before you go to bed, set aside about 45 minutes to slowly start slowing down yourself. Cut out all their screens, not looking at any screen, mobile, tablet, your phone, your laptops, TV, anything. Every digital screen must go shut off. And then soak your feet in some hot water with a little salt in it. That starts slowing down, relaxing your brain, and listening to some very light instrumentals, no lyrics, please, just instrumentals, very soft ones. So doing these things, maybe reading something very calming, anything that you like to read that is calming and that is not thought provoking. So having a little sleep ritual just before bedtime tells your brain in a matter of few days, tells your brain that it is time to sleep.
I really want to know, what do you feel after watching this video? You know, when I was conversing with Akshatha, there were so many things that were going on in my mind, and I was like, this is so simple. You know, why did not that strike me on its own? And that kind of made me think more about it, and I realized that in life we tend to take things, the simplicity of things, for granted. As simple as breathing. Do you also do that? And if you do, take this video as a reminder or a nudge, or a wake-up call of sorts, that we need to slow down, we need to simplify it, we need to start noticing when breathing, we need to go back to the simplest of things that gives us joy. So friends, if you're new to Shreyalogue, I would request you to please do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Do share this with your family and friends and colleagues, because you never know, one simple tip may change someone's life. Thank you so much, friends. Until next week, see you, take care, bye bye, stay safe.